Hi, this is Nikki Flynn. We're going to talk about visual presentations, how to make your presentation be well organized versus having it be cluttered. One thing to keep in mind is the metacognitive load. So think about when you're making your presentation, is this too much? And a couple things to keep in mind is the intrinsic cognitive load and the extraneous cognitive load. The intrinsic cognitive load is how challenging or complex what the material is that you're presenting or the task that you are presenting. So try to keep that in mind and not make it overly difficult for your audience. And then the extraneous cognitive load are extra details that really have nothing to do with the presentation, the material that you are talking about, like the design or layout of your presentation. You don't want to have too much extra that your audience needs to think about, because if you have a heavy cognitive load, it can interfere with your audience learning and understanding what you're presenting. Make sure you're making it relatable for your audience. Think about, are you talking to students, adults, males, females, and that you're answering that question, why does this matter to me? That will keep them engaged and wanting to know more. Also, think about reducing jargon. If you're talking about a topic that your audience might not understand, try to use words that are more relatable so that they can access the material easier. Also, try to make it engaging. You can share stories with your audience, include examples, try to make it exciting and fun in some kind of way, and use visuals that pertain to the material that aren't distracting but keep them paying attention and understanding what you're talking about. Typography is something to keep in mind as well. Different fonts and different colors can cause the audience to pay attention to certain words or things differently. So if you're trying to call attention to that, that's fine. But keep in mind that some fonts are harder to read, some colors can hurt your eyes, different backgrounds and color contrasts can be difficult for the audience to see, especially from afar. And keep in mind that if you make things too small, it's hard to read, and too big is distracting. Also, when you're designing your presentation, try not to have too much clutter on the screen and too much text. Instead, maybe consider adding some audio and talking instead, and try to keep your screens simple. And finally, when you're thinking about the different media that you add, videos, GIFs, visuals, make sure that they are pertinent to the information you're presenting and not distracting, because your audience could be looking at those instead and not understanding the material that you're talking about.